So we're talking about improving the condition of 4 different ecosystems, each one of them having great regional significance, and even to an extent global significance. Early on, some of the work that was done at the district while I was Director of Environmental Sciences did give us some concern that there would be impacts due to enrichment with nitrogen in the estuary. But subsequent work over the last 10 or more years, including some very sophisticated modeling work, has shown that the water quality effects would be minimal, negligible, in fact. You weigh that against the lift in terms of species diversity and abundance of fish and invertebrates, and clearly I think the scales tipped in favor of doing the restoration. For example, Silver Springs is a first magnitude spring and indeed one of the largest flowing freshwater springs in the world. So that's not a small deal. The St. Johns River is an important estuary for the entire east coast of the United States. For example, the southernmost population of the American shad occurs in the St. Johns River and nowhere else. So the American shad, American eel, other species that that migrate between the ocean and the fresh waters historically use the St. Johns River.
We're standing here on the banks of the St. Johns River. The river itself runs 310 miles through the heart of Florida, if you would, flowing right through downtown Jacksonville. This stretch of the river is the estuary. It's where the ocean meets the river, and this is one of the most fertile parts of the river. It's also sort of the last stop as you come up the 310-mile length of the river before the river sort of snakes through Jacksonville and finally ends up emptying into the Atlantic Ocean. Having a healthy ecosystem is paramount to having a healthy economy. And we started looking at the way we have used and abused the St. Johns River for years. The damming of the Ocklawaha is sort of an example of that. By reducing the flow of water into the St. Johns River, we allowed more salt water to come in. Effectively, just east of Jacksonville is an unlimited amount of salt water. And so when you change the flow characteristics of the river, either by stopping water flow through a dam, dredging, changing discharge characteristics by paving over areas, you change the migratory patterns of fish. You change the ecology of the ecosystem. We have watched the salinity of the St. Johns River sort of go deeper and deeper into the river over the years. We've watched all the submerged aquatic vegetation, which is critical to the nursery ground of the estuary, disappear in Duval County. There are no grass beds left in Duval County. And so trying to reestablish some sort of healthy ecosystem is critical as we continue to do development and dredge and pave over areas and fill in wetlands. We need to try to do our best job to restore and mitigate that impact as best we can.
So the St. Johns is really unique and that's one of the few rivers in the world that is primarily fed by spring discharge. So we have a lot of spring water coming out of places like Silver Springs, Wekiwa Springs, that add spring water into the river. And the Ocklawaha is a spring-dominated tributary. So the Silver River provides a lot of discharge to the Ocklawaha. So that water is being held back by the Rodman. And beyond that, there's a natural timing to river systems discharging to the St. Johns. When it rains, it can flood. That flood water goes into the river system and goes into the St. Johns River. The dam changes that natural flow characteristic. So there's not a natural sort of flux of water out of the Ocklawaha into the St. Johns. And that can be critical at times of drought. If the water is not coming out of the Ocklawaha, it's not providing water to the St. Johns. And I think that's one of the biggest problems we have with this system, is it isn't behaving like a regular river system would. It's behaving like a managed system that it is.